this is my message to Helldivers 2 community as a whole. You're one of the most unintelligent creatures I ever encountered. Not all of you, but approximately half of you, maybe 50-60% of you are just mentally disabled because probably were drinking the fluoride water when you were little, you know. And the subject I want to talk with all of you about, and hoping that I will be actually able to redeem you, you know, from your ignorance, is the fact how you just cope about literally everything. It's just how you behave, how you interact, about your lack of in-game knowledge, about your inability to learn, about the fact that you don't want to learn literally anything, and about the fact that I don't know, about the fact that you think that you are the smartest one. Let's first of all start with the fact that you think that you are the smartest one. Maybe you're actually somebody who watches me actually smart. Maybe. If we talking smart about in-game mechanics and everything, you know, like knowledge of the game, knowledge of everything, and ability to learn about all this knowledge. Most of the, not even most, but probably half of you are probably playing bugs on a low difficulty in a groups of 4. You probably never even played the solo. Not even talking about something that I do right now on the screen, solo 10 without deaths. By playing bugs on the low difficulties in a team, you never actually can truly form the correct opinion about some piece of equipment that we have in a game. Somebody gonna say, what do you mean correct? There's no correct and incorrect opinions, it's toxic. No, there is correct and there isn't correct opinions about the equipment. There is. And you, by playing some easy faction on a low difficulty, cannot form opinion about a piece of equipment, for example armor passive, some rifle, because you are not unable to test it in extreme environments where it's actually can save your life or doom you, basically. Just we can imagine situation: 4 bug divers playing with some peak physique, server assisted, I don't know, fortified, I don't know how mentally unstable you need to be to pick up fortified armor on the box, considering the fact that there's no explosions, and for example, which is another passive that basically have a better and like any form of extra padding but is not used. I don't know. Basically, you picking up 4 bad passives, but you will never know that they're bad because you never played against the factions that can actually kill you, for example. And you, after a couple of matches on a difficulty 4 and a difficulty 5 with the group, for a opinion, oh my god, server assisted passive is actually good, because I can throw stratagems more far away, but it doesn't matter because most of the stratagems are unreliable still. Unfortunately, even after buffs, most of the stratagems are kinda unreliable. They're not pieces of garbage anymore, like it was before all buffs. Before all buffs, most of the stratagems except of laser and 500 kg were garbage. Now most of stratagems are just a little bit worse than laser and 500 kg, but you know, you can play with them. And you know, and they think that the server assisted, for example, it just, I using this armor for example, I'm not talking, there's multiple armors that bad, which was that actually bad, which people praise and think that they actually good. And you know, because nobody actually was capable of harming you on the bug front. Come on, what is the main threat on the bug front? Not even the Bile Titan. It's probably some kind of stalker, but stalker doesn't spawn extremely often. That's why most of your playthrough you're just gonna sit on the same. You're not even gonna sit on the same place. You just can just lay down on a rock, place a turret, and just wait. Like I cannot even call it the skilled gameplay. And after this, and after a couple these games where you rock everything because this faction was easy, you will actually think that it's not because the faction is easy you won, but it's because you had a high skill and because you have a good equipment with you. Which just creates an illusion, literal just giant blast of illusion of copions, that a lot of, you know, weapons, that a lot of stratagems, that a lot of equipment is good. But they were never able to battle test it. And after this, when these amoebas form their opinion about some armor passive, about their equipment, you know, about their rifle, for example, they come to the internet and telling everyone that their piece of equipment is the best because they just randomly chose it and were lying under the minigun turret while it was killing all boxing. Again, high skill gameplay. And tells that your equipment is bad because your equipment doesn't match them. You just don't understand how many times people were shitting on me because I used extra padding. These people shitted on me because I used extra padding. I used extra padding because it's just literally the best armor passive in a game. Come on. You don't move like a granny if we talk about the medium armor, but you have nearly same protection as heavy armor. I'm saying nearly the same, not the same. Because I know about this damage reduction for heavy armors. But for example, in the heavy armors, you're easily getting swarmed, surrounded because you are incapable of running. That's why, sorry, but probably all heavy armors instead of heavy extra padding or heavy medic armor is a garbage. Let's be honest with this. Literally most armors in this game are garbage, if we're talking about the heavy ones. Except of extra padding and medic. I repeat it twice because I just need you to hear this. But because of people never played in a high stress environments like here, the one you see on your screen, they will never understand this because they're gonna win no matter what, because they're gonna play on a low difficulties against the easy faction. This is how they form the ignorance. Or I still remember the time when the people like this were mad about Arrowhead buffing weapons. The only reason why they were angry at people and saying that the game will become too easy is just because they were already playing on easy difficulties against the easy enemies. They probably never stepped out of their comfort zone. And out of this problem with the comfort zone, there steps out a different issue, the generational issue. We got most of these low-skilled bug players that never learned anything, but because they have a high rank, they have a high level of authority in the side of the new players. And these low intelligent life forms, instead of telling the newbie the fact that, sorry dude, my armor is literally the bad, most of the time it's useless, but I just use it because it looks cool. They just say that, hey bro, the armors that you got since the start, the extra pad and medium armor is extremely really bad, you need to change it on something else immediately. And after this, considering the fact that Helldivers 2 is based not only on skill, it's based on your equipment. Your survivability literally depends on your equipment. And after this, the newbie dumps away his nice titanium armor that literally can help him run away from anything and protects him from everything, and chooses some I don't know even what to say. Some mistake of nature, I don't know. Chooses some scout armor for stealth, which is actually doesn't do anything a lot. How you will see in this clip, I was able to stealth in heavy armor extra padding with no problem. And after getting surprised why he got killed multiple times. It's literally just sounds like this. Oh, why I got killed multiple times? Was the dude, his was rank 150 and he told me that the extra padding armor is piece of crap and I need to pick up something more, especially the scout armor. Like, what the fuck? I'm sorry, but what the fuck? You're not only... These people, this type of amoebas, not only ruined the game for themselves, they ruined the game for everyone around them by telling them enormous amount of lies. They just literally lying in people's faces. And they believe that their view is true just because they're too ignorant enough to actually check it and battle prove it. Most of these 150 rank veterans that we got in the Helldivers 2, they got their high rank not because they play well, but because they most of the time don't know how to play and stuck to the low difficulties and just farming them over and over again. I don't know, it's some kind of South Park episode. It's just so sad and comical. For example, let's talk about the weapons, about the weapon cope. Like, we talked already about the armor, how everyone's shitting on extra padding because of their ignorance, while the extra padding is literally one of the best armor, can only be compared to medic armor, which is the best too. And now let's talk about the another cope. All of these people who never played the game properly, and how the story shows, were against the buff of the weapons. They sometimes justify existence of the bad weapons. That this is weapon or is made for fun. Like, no, this is not the good stats weapon, not a meta weapon. This weapon is for fun. The biggest example, for example, is the Constitution. What, for example, prevented Arrowhead to make the Constitution same as the Deadeye right now? You know, the Deadeye, this lever action. For example, instead of adding the Deadeye when the Constitution was published, why we couldn't just make it 300 damage instead of 180? And the Constitution will be one of the most viable rifles in the game, but no, we just added the Deadeye, which literally the Constitution, but just with a bigger damage. Like, I understand that they have to make bread with war bonds and stuff, but I just don't like how community cope with all of this. They just literally cope it. Or I still remember how, for example, I don't even know. How, for example, everyone was defending Adjudicator. This is another stuff. I still remember the times when Adjudicator came out. First of all, it was considered crap because it was piece of crap. After it got buffed, it still was piece of crap. But the people, you know, all of this 50% who plays only against the bugs most of the time and never played the solo, especially solo 10, they picked up Adjudicator. It's still piece of garbage, but they're still defending it. Oh, it's now became amazing. Oh, but to use it properly, I actually need a separate piece of armor that makes me same squishable as a summer ant. It's like it's not funny. Only time when Adjudicator actually became great, it's only after the customization update, when this enormous recoil, which is especially hard to control when you're the console player like me, was removed by the vertical grip and by the compensator. Most of other times in its history, Adjudicator was piece of crap that was defended. Or, for example, before this update, another weapon cope, Reprimand. Reprimand had an accuracy of 50 and after 40 MOA. It's worse than the World War II submachine guns. But players were defending it. No, it's good. It's one of the best submachine guns. It's have medium armor penetration and it's have a good damage. Ignoring the fact that this thing literally missed target on a distance of the 12 meters. It wasn't funny either. And all of this came from ignorance and low skill, inability to test their equipment in a harsh environment. A Reprimand became good only now, because from 40 MOA, his accuracy was increased to 4 MOA, which is, if we draw analogies, Russian Kalashnikov rifle, basically. 4 MOA. It's not bad. It's basically an assault rifle. Or additionally another cope weapon. Sickle. No, I'm not talking about the double-edged sickle, which literally just a buffed version of the stalwart if you were in the inflammable armor and vitality enchantment. I'm talking about the basic sickle. Right now, literally, I will probably get swarmed for telling that. But the basic sickle, since the start, it isn't piece of crap. Don't get me wrong, but neither it as good as everyone's saying. It doesn't have a medium armor penetration. It's probably have a, yes, big capacity. You can shoot 100 shots, which sounds good, yes, but it have a retarded delay. It's just disgusting. This delay is just killing me. Like, this weapon was created to kill the bugs, because bugs have a less medium armor than the bots do, for example, most of the time, most of their units. But it can actually reliably kill bugs, because when you, for example, got swarmed even by hunters, you still kinda getting beaten up by the easiest faction in a game. But because those people were playing most of the time in the squads of 4 on a low difficulty, the times when they actually got swarmed were nearly zero. Not nearly zero, maybe a couple of times, but most of the times they were just placing turrets, laying down with the sickle. That's why I'm thinking that sickle is good. I don't even understand why the sickle got nerfed in the end. Like, the only positive stuff about this boy was that basically you had a munition capacity of 600 rounds. Like, this is only what I can say. Right now, it just literally have the pre-buff liberator damage. It have a pre-buff liberator damage. It have a accuracy of the pre-buff reprimand. But it have 100 rounds in one mag. What can I say? You know, it's just a cope. It's just a cope. And the most horrible part is again what I said about it's when these more experienced players, you know, the one who just laid under the machine gun turret and on the rock and did nothing, gonna tell the noobs that they need to buy Warband for 1000 super credits and have a sequel instead of something good. Or I still remember how everyone was, even after Jar 5 Dominator buff, everyone was telling that Jar 5 is bad because of the drag. Drag in this game, basically, it's only the visual. It doesn't matter that much. You know, all this weapon cope is horrible. And now, when we talk about the armor cope, how everyone just taking a shit on the extra padding, while the extra padding is one of the best. How we talked about the weapon cope, how half of the community defend the bad balancing choices of Arrowhead, or defend the really horrible weapons, telling that they're good, or just overrate them. You know, I'm tired from this. It's over and we're so back graphs. There's no it's over and there's no we're so back. Game was good, but in this but in the gunplay mediocre, it became just good. But because people were starving for the context, they were said, oh no, it's over, it's over, it's over. Now let's talk about their people's inability to learn. Even if you will just tell them what I already said about just practical use of some armors and weapons, why they're bad. How, for example, the scout armor, literally, yeah, maybe it takes a little bit bigger time for enemies to notice you, but actually, if you have enough skill, you can avoid them easily without the scout armor. Like, or how, for example, you don't need the fortified, because in this game most damage doesn't comes from the explosives, and you can just easily avoid the landmines if you have one. Actually, you can literally just even in extra padded medium armor, you can step on a landmine and survive with a 100% chance. Literally, if you have a full HP, you can literally step on mine with the medium armor of extra padding and survive. Like, it's no cap. It's literally happened to me most of the times. But mostly, you can even just avoid these landmines. You know, I'm just tired from cope. Or for example, this all stuff with review bombing of the Helldivers 2. It doesn't come from the low skill, but comes from the lack of the common sense of the community. I still remember, if we're talking about the constant review bomb in our times. I'm not talking the times where, for example, Sony was trying to do some bad stuff or, something else. I'm talking about right now. The Chinese players were not able to just learn the basic game mechanics about the liberation and to not understand that they hold their equality on the sea city, which is basically Beijing, instead of just reconquering it. And they review bombed Helldivers 2 just because, sorry, they were not intelligent enough to understand how the game mechanic work. I'm sorry, it was the defense mission. And now imagine you dealing with such a ignorance every time when you're jumping in the Helldiver forums, or for example you play in Helldivers 2. I don't know, sometimes I just literally left speechless. You review bombed the game because you didn't properly understood the mechanics of the defense inside the game which you're playing. What? Why? Oh, yeah. Is the common sense is such a thing that's too hard to obtain, I guess it's not that hard. You just need to read something sometimes, you just need to open your eyes to look around, you just need to use the logic, you just need to, try to apply your knowledge in that you obtained in the real situations, if we're talking about the real life in the game. But half of the community lacks the basic social awareness. If we were literally in the Stone Age, most of them will get eaten by some horrible creatures or just die because of their own dumbness. It's just extremely sad to watch. And the most horrible part, the developers can be partly blamed for this community ignorance, because they are refused to provide, for example, adequate weapon stats, adequate armor stats, adequate descriptions of the passives, adequate description of the boosters. That's why, for example, most of the players that not even dumb, but just not too invested inside the game, can't understand what actually happens around them. It's just extremely sad. It's and after this, most of these players, which don't understand the game mechanics because nobody told them about them, because nobody taught them, or maybe just because they can't even read properly, or don't understand the basic mechanics, go into the public lobby and call, for example, fire barrage on the Hulk while you nearby this Hulk too. And you just die. You die not because it's your fault. You die not because it's or your misfortune. You die just because some dude was just incapable to learn anything about the game what he played for approximately 1,000 hours already. And after the same dude who dropped the napalm barrage on you and the Hulk. By the way, this napalm barrage will not kill the Hulk. Cries to you in the chat that he needs help alone on the other side of the map because he dies constantly, and he dies constantly because he picked up the bad equipment, but he thinks that he picked up good equipment and he believes that game is unfair. This is, for example, the reason why the armor of the Hulks was nerfed. I'm sorry, nerfing armor of the Hulks was a bad idea. Buffing the stratagems was the good idea. But decreasing Hulk's armor from tier 5 to tier 4 was a bad idea. Because right now you can literally just shoot the Hulk anywhere without a cannon, and in one moment he's gonna die. I'm a personal believer that, the game should be comfortable for the player. But, it's should not become the brain dead just because some people just literally can't learn. For example, and the same guy, after he, dies multiple times, you're gonna tell him that, hey, buddy, just pick up the medic armor, just pick up for example, some extra padding armor and some, I don't know, supply backpack, and you're gonna live forever. And he was gonna say, but no, this armor is crap, this stratagem is crap, everything is crap. They're just incapable of learning. They cannot learn anything. They don't know that even 2 plus 2 is 4. But technically, sometimes I'm not surprised considering the literacy levels around the world right now. They're decreasing, by the way. They're decreasing. It just sad. I just hope that any person who watches this video will understand what I'm trying to say, will stop defeating the bad weapons, will finally try to understand the game mechanics, to not harm people around them, finally try to play just on a higher difficulty to actually make the solid and valid opinion about some pieces of equipment, because Helldivers work in extremely interesting manner. They're extremely low skill ceiling. If you actually just learn, if you actually just play the game, and if you actually just capable of reading, researching something, making right conclusions, you know, just using the scientific method. Just using the scientific method. This is called the scientific method, when you actually base your opinion on facts, on literal facts, you know, on facts, not on your emotions, not on your preferences, just on facts. The person like this gonna learn extremely fast, but they still gonna die extremely fast too if they just don't choose the right equipment. You know, this whole game have extremely low skill ceiling, and when you learn enough, you know, you can just, your whole survival after depends on equipment. It is how it is. I just hope that people will just become less ignorant, and the best way to become less ignorant, the best way to become skillful, is to play solo. It's literally the only way, because when you play in lobby, even if you play like a total moron, you will never know that you actually don't know how to play, because there'll always be the guy marries you, who gonna save all bots of you and other your moronic teammates. Basically, you need to play solo, because it's the only indicator, it's the only possibility to understand if you do something right or wrong. It's extremely important. For example, start with some low difficulty, difficulty 4, after difficulty 5, difficulty 6, difficulty 7, difficulty 8, difficulty 9, and finally difficulty 10. And when you, based on your skill, based on your equipment choices, will be able to complete solo difficulty 10, preferably nearly clearing all the map without deaths, then you for sure can say that you finally become skillful and that you finally are actually capable, you know, of playing the game. This is literally playing solo, is just literally the only way to learn, unfortunately. This is the only way where nobody gonna hold your hand, where nobody gonna protect you, because you will finally be exposed to the harsh environment of the game. I know for somebody it can be exhausting, for somebody it can be too hard, but you know, it is what it is. For example, every time when I would try to form the opinion about some armor or about some rifle or about some stratagems, I always bring it on solo 10, because I can, you know, play the game on solo 10, and based on results, based on my survivability, based on how comfortable or uncomfortable it was for me, I make a decision. Is it piece of equipment good? Is this piece of equipment bad? Maybe it's just mixed, but you know, this is the only way how you can literally form the valid opinion, because you will finally have a facts in a harsh environment where your piece of equipment helped you and where it did not. If everyone, even the 1 of the third of community will do this, the Helldivers and the overall the Helldivers as a place is gonna become a better place. It's gonna become the better environment. And the only way how to actually enforce the common sense right now is the toxicity, because when you actually calmly, politely talk to people, they don't understand anything what you literally say, which is unfortunate too. I don't know, maybe it's because of just the bad parenting and the people learned only to learn something when you scream at them or something else, but people need to learn, community need to evolve. I don't know, something need to happen, because unfortunately right now it's just literally this type of state where nothing ever happens. Where's the rank 15 and rank 150 don't have a big difference between each other because both of them are playing horribly. Like, there need to be some skill ladder, something that will encourage the players to learn. For example, some special capes that gonna act as a reward for people who completed solo missions. For example, the cape that involves from your ability to play solo 1 to solo 10. For example, when you finally completed solo 10 mission, this cape fully upgrades and you have a beautiful cape. There need to be some kind of motivation for people to improve. When the living organism doesn't improve, it dies. And the same with our community. If we will continue coping about everything, if we will continue constantly follow the patterns of this "it's over, we're so back" graphs, if we continue be ignorant about everything what happens, you know, we will just build echo chamber where's the intelligence just, I don't know, going to perish one day. Just please, people. And here, to make my opinion more credible, the footage that you see here was recorded on solo 10 without devs, just to, you know, on the bot's front, just to make my opinion credible, because most of the people are gonna say that everything what I said about other weapons and armor is a cap, because I actually never proper test them. I literally took every piece of equipment that I believe is good and literally tested out, especially extra pad and heavy armor, and it shows itself perfectly. Please, start to become intelligent life form.